I think there was another light bite there. As always with everyone, my favorite paternoster. I have a leader made of line. Hook size 11. 3 maggots. Here where it's shallower. And very often under this second ledge. Well friends, today we have autumn feeder fishing. In the fall, everyone switches to fishing. When spinning, the predator becomes active, while the white fish, on the contrary, becomes quiet. And only enthusiasts like you and me fish with a feeder in the fall, and even in winter. In this video, I'll try to share from the heart, very simply, without any pretenses or complications, some of my insights and secrets about feeder fishing from all the years I've been fishing. So, here's our rod, the Seversky Donets River. And we're mixing the bait, and we're doing everything as it should be. Even though I've talked a lot about my feeder platform, the comments keep coming in from you guys. This is a mini platform also from the company Flagman, designed like a little box, which can additionally hold any accessories. So, inside here I have a box that opens up, where I keep my reels, various tackle and supplies, like feeders. On the side I hang the keep net. Fishing gear, a container for bait, a small table, and a feeder arm. This thing here is where we're going to place the rod later. So, how does everything get attached? It's pretty simple. On each trim, on each accessory, we unscrew, straighten the loop, and thread it as needed. For example, here I attach the bait tray to the front of the platform. On the cowl backside, I attach the table. Here I have the holder for the rod. Well, and in the middle, there is a wonderful suitcase where I have a reel, trays, and all sorts of things. And we thread the holder for our rod here. Anyone who watches my videos knows that any fishing trip for me starts with mixing. Bait. Now we're going to go mix the bait, and then we'll check the bottom with a marker weight. As I always say, one of the most important things in feeder fishing is to mix the bait correctly. That's the key thing that will help you catch a lot. It's important to mix the bait correctly. This is exactly the thing that will help you catch a lot, because the fish primarily go for the bait and settle at your spot. If you do something wrong, maybe the fish just won't come. You won't be able to feed her, so to speak, or get her interested. So guys, it's October now. October began with a cold snap, but the water had not yet cooled down critically enough to make some special mixture. You can continue to fish with summer bait without worrying too much about taste and without worrying too much, for example, with some spices or additives. Today it's all simple for me. I'll be using my favorite bait, the golden biscuit color. This is, for example, yellow bream supreme. And guys, I'm going to add this particular molasses in the jar. For those who don't know, molasses is also called sugar beet syrup. As we say, what is it actually needed for? What is melassa and why is it added to melassa bait? Guys, it stimulates the fish, so to speak, leading to a quick metabolism, meaning the fish doesn't get full from the bait. And when she eats, she doesn't feel full because there is melassa in the bait, and in short, roughly speaking, in simple words, she poops faster. She ate, and then she immediately went, did her business, and came back. That's what molasses does. Something like that. Never worth it. You guys don't have to bother. Use whatever bait you want, whatever you like, and that's how you catch. Whether it works or not. This is what fishing is. This is what it is. You know, how can I put it? First of all, it's a matter of personal taste. And secondly, it also depends on luck. That little yellow one, it's nice, and it smells good. I really love this color, and I'm going to show it to you now. This is the yellow bait, which I call golden, because bream and roach and all kinds of fish bite on it. This is what it looks like. This is the color it has, and it has a slightly sweet and sour aroma. Since the water is becoming clearer now, but it's still not as clear as it will be in November, there is some transparency. I want to tell you that our bait will stand out really well on the bottom. So the feeding spot, even at a depth of 5 meters where we will be fishing, the fish will see it from a distance. I've spent this whole season fishing with a budget rod from the company Flagman S-Canal feeder. It's 360 centimeters long with a test of up to 70 grams. I've had this rod since last season, so I decided to keep using it now. I really like it. First of all, the price is good. Secondly, its casting characteristics are great. Well, for this price, it's top-notch. I never pour all the bait out. I'm going to pour part of it into the tray, and I'll hide the rest somewhere in the shade. So we mix the bait, and we always make sure to take all the trash with us. In the last video, you wrote in the comments that, Sergey, most often fishermen use cheap baits. So cheap bags, leftover bait are lying around on the shore. Yeah, guys, that's right. Because those people who buy everything cheap, they behave like that, you know, in life. They are somehow carefree. They are not interested in anything. They came, made a mess here, did all this, and just went home. They don't even care about fishing. The main thing for them is just to pass the time. But we, on the other hand, spend our time at the water. And just as they are completely different things, you and I can also fish with budget gear and budget bait. But we go out for the soul and always look forward, look into the future, into a better future, and believe in it. So we need to leave something for our children and grandchildren, and we clean up after ourselves, basically. This is the sequence in which I start fishing, because the bait will sit for a while, absorb water, and will need to be moistened further. In that time, 5 to 10 minutes, we'll set up the rod and check the bottom with a marker. The marker weight is shaped like, how should I put it, an underwater mine. Even if you've fished here before, you should still come to the fishing spot and check the bottom with a marker again. Who knows, maybe someone set a net there. Some kind of jerk, of which there are plenty. Who knows, maybe there are some weeds or something that got washed in. And if you're fishing here for the first time, then guys, of course, you need to check the bottom with a marker weight to understand where each spot is. And here at the fishing spot in autumn, there are a lot of nuances that differ from summer. The very first thing, the water has become much cooler, the temperature is lower, and the water clarity is improving. And friends, the grass. The grass that prevented us from fishing in the summer, we could not fish in some places, in shallow water, in holes, near holes, at all kinds of exits. Now there will be much less grass, and we will be able to fish these spots. In the fall, I go further, deep into the fall, you could say. I often fish at shallow depths, 2-3 meters, because they warm up, and the fish come out there to warm up, to eat. There are more moths there, all sorts of worms left, and they like it, in short. Also, mussels and shells are found on the edges of the riverbed. They tend to roll a bit higher up, where there are at least some rays of sunshine to warm things up. So, choosing a fishing spot depends on your, let's say, geographical location, where you live, and how cold it is. I can't give you advice here, but choose in the fall. Places where the depth varies are also important because the fish come out there to feed. In particular, bream, not just roach and other species. How to position the rod in windy weather and when there are big waves. I recommend placing it as low to the water as possible, sometimes even so that the tip of the rod is almost touching the water. But today, these conditions suit me perfectly, so I will fish in a way that's comfortable for me, and I'll position the rod the way I like it, about 30 centimeters from the edge of the wave. As always with everyone, my favorite, paternoster. As for how and how much to feed, guys, I always love to feed, whether it's late autumn, winter, I don't know. So right now, at least 10 of these starter feeders, I'll cast, just like I showed you. And then I'll move on to tempo fishing. The tempo will depend on how the fish are biting. 2, 3, 5 minutes, maybe I'll recast more often. It all depends on how it gets excited by our bait. Well, let's go, the target is set. Catch fish, big and small. The bait today is a big fat maggot. Specifically, a giant one. But it wouldn't be me if I didn't get caught in the rain, can you imagine? Everything for comfortable feeder fishing. It's a real autumn, the platform is already wet. Let's get started. Yes, of course, it's all very unpleasant, but you can wipe the platform off. And the fifth spot, wet it, keep fishing. Well, here we go, 3 maggots in the first cast. The first cast is always the most important because we'll understand what's at our spot, whether there's any fish there, if we fed it correctly, and how it's going in this kind of weather. The harsh one. Response. Does she respond? I dropped it and immediately looked at the queer tip because there were 3 maggots. Here, it can catch on the fly like a platy and a white bream and all the others. Some peaceful fish. The thing is, I don't understand who's out there. I can't figure out who's out there because it's going a bit into the weeds. Pike! It's a pike. We caught a little pike, just a small one. Can you believe it? A little pike took it, of course. It's predator weather, just as I said. Quiet, little one. Come on, come on, come on, onto our thin, thin line. Carefully, very carefully, and there's contact. Look at this little one. Now we'll carefully unhook it. Can you believe it? Well, here it is, our first fish, a pike. Now I'll tell you why this happened and why it bit, as I see it. It's small, tiny, but still it's the predator season. The bite was like that of a big roach. I wouldn't say that a predatory fish took it, so there wasn't a sharp, huge strike. Of course, we will release such a small pike. I actually release all the fish we catch, so let it swim away. This is such a small one. Let's be careful. Come on, come on, come on. Let her come to her senses and fly away. She's already started to twitch. Then she'll float away. Of course. Where else would this go? With your permission, I'll put this little hook away. It's not in the way. So, we've baited the spot, and the small fish have come to the area, right? And right away the predator showed some activity and came over to feast. Just when our butterfly fell, or rather maggot. The little pike took it on the fly because the bite happened almost immediately. As soon as the feeder touched the bottom, there was this strong strike. I thought the roach was taking it on the fly, the line was getting hit. I hook it, but the pike isn't on. This happens very often in the fall. It also happens, you're reeling in a small fish, let's say closer to the shore, and as you pull it to the first drop-off, a pike shoots out from the weeds and grabs it right in front of your eyes. Of course, I just got lucky this time. It took it right at the top, on the edge, by the lip, just like on an ultralight hook. If she had swallowed it, of course, my line is thin, she would have chewed it up like it was nothing. I've got a leader made of line, a size 11 hook, and 3 maggots. In my experience, when the weather is this bad, the small fish don't bite well, so small roach and bream do nibble but not as actively. But the bites happen less often, but the fish are bigger. For example, big roach and bream aren't afraid of all this. I think there was another light bite there. Another one, someone decent. Not bad, not bad. Let's take a look now. It's going really well. Maybe I should have even brought a roach today. Wow, oh my, oh what a roach. Simply gorgeous. What a nice huge roach. Just look at that big one, right? And you can't lift it either. We need to pull it closer to the shore. Let's take a little bit off like this here already. Come on, you should be around here too. Let's throw it back and hook it to her again. So she won't be hungry. 3 maggots are larger in size, well fed. Fish will see them right away. I like white ones. I don't know. It seems to me that they look much more natural. And because they are dyed, this is what attracts them a lot. As you wrote to me. By the way, yes, either throw them into the bait, which is what I actually do, or put them on every other one. When the white one runs out, we stuff more porridge, malashka there. When I say porridge, I get corrected incorrectly. It's not porridge, it's bait. Guys, call it whatever you want. The meaning is the same. And the same, we anglers, enthusiasts, we don't really care. We don't nitpick each other. So you threw it like this, in Kiev, RTP, feeder tip. Yeah, call it whatever you want. The meaning doesn't change. Now bites are happening quite rarely. Now bites are happening. Quite rarely. Do, and pause. I've noticed, guys, that in weather like this, well, like now, yeah, it's not the best. The fish are biting. Small ones, well, rarely. Mostly they're pecking at something a bit bigger, so the bigger fish aren't as scared. Here's another nice bream for me. Larger fish are not so afraid of the wind, of all this, yes, of this weather. It's sketchy, like the small ones. That's why bites are less frequent, but at least the size is bigger. I'm basically fine with that too. I think that would satisfy any fisherman, right? Let there be a bite once every 5 minutes. It won't always bite on your first cast. With every cast it's more accurate, but at least the fish will be decent for frying, right? Sometimes during the cast you get tangled up. Oh, you end up hooking yourself. This hook is very soft. The stand is made of foam. You just hop. And got snagged. But sometimes, when the wind conditions aren't great, and with a long leader, but right now the leader isn't that long. They pushed me. About 40 centimeters. Whoa, over there. Let's see what we have here. What a changeable weather. It seemed like there was rain, the wind was blowing, the sun is slowly coming out. When choosing a reference point, on the opposite shore, you always need to pick something clear, so you can see it right away. Just put your eye on it and you'll immediately see it. So you won't have to search for it for long. That way the fishing pace will be better. So I chose this spot, and to the right of it. Here are 2 little trees. We see one dry one, yes, and there's one nearby with some leaves. You can see it clearly even from here. That's exactly my spot, which I liked more or less. There was a bit of a clatter from the shells, so I can see the spot from a distance. A little to the right, that tree. I'll try to show you on my fingers where I'm fishing right now. Here we are. Here we are with the fishing rod, right? Here's our fishing rod. Here is the riverbank. The river flows down here. There's a ledge, then a big hole, and then it rises up and goes further that way. Here I am, guys, stopping very often. Here where it's shallower, and very often under this second ledge. Under the first edge here near the shore there is a lot of grass, a lot of other things. The fish are afraid here. There are a lot of people, but no, it is here. So under the second ledge right here, that's where it is. And then to where it is smaller but further, it is very difficult to throw. And where exactly is this drop off, this hole? Yeah, I step back a couple of meters from the ledge and that's where I clip in. In my opinion, this is the best spot because casting, as I said, to the riverbed itself is very problematic. Especially now the wind is blowing straight at me. And to stand down by the little hole, in my opinion, it's a promising spot. I think something's biting over there, guys. There are some bites. Yes or no, I can't really tell. Yes. There's another decent bite. And this time the quiver tip was pulled back. Sometimes it bites towards the shore. And then our quiver tip itself, guys, is a bit of a challenge. In my opinion, yes or no. A very good sized roach. Another roach with us. And then the core tip simply shoots back. Stands. Bounces sharply. Here is a good roach too. We will use a thin leash for this fish. Just like that, because I don't have a landing net. Here's the roach. Just super. Come here. I call them baton. Almost like a baton. It went in pretty deep, and we can't do without an extractor. That's what the extractor is for. We insert it, meaning we thread it through the line. And right into the fish's mouth. There is one important point when casting a feeder. Now let me tell you, look, but first, every time we pull the clip back, we check with our finger to make sure everything is okay, that it moves smoothly through all the guides, so we don't end up tearing anything. Secondly, when we cast, the feeder will reach the point already. We start the rod a little further. To our spot where our stand is set up, if we bring it in here, we'll have to pull it in with our hands, and the feeder will start sliding along the bottom. That's also not right. I throw, I hold, oops, and I immediately place it down. The rod has been standing there, it's been 5 minutes and there's still no bite. How do I usually do it? First I do a small drag along the bottom. to make sure if there's active fish there. Maybe they'll come up and take it right now. If after the drag there's still no bite at all, yeah, within about 30 seconds, then you can just lift it up and make a new cast. Always do a drag, especially at the end, just before you make a new cast. It could happen that it bites and jumps up. Absolutely. And right now, it's very important to check the bait during this time of year. It should always be the best and always alive. If, for example, a fish has bitten it, you see that there is one maggot bitten. Yes, there was some approach, we change it. If possible, you can actually change the entire bait so that they are alive and moving. But again, it varies in different bodies of water. There's something that fish like it when the maggot doesn't move when it's melted, when it's sunk, drowned, and that's it. It's already dead. Basically, yeah, not moving. Some fishermen even put a second bucket of water there and pour melted maggots into it. And it's exactly those that they fish with. To be honest, I haven't done this. I don't practice it. I can't say whether it's worse or better. I usually take those immobilized maggots and throw them straight into the bait mix, loading them up with the feeder and sending them out there purely as bait. But remember, your attachment should always be the best, and the most beautiful, the tastiest one down there. So, someone has taken it, like, I don't understand. I think it's a bream. Let's take a look. Wow. Yeah, there it is. Or a roach. Haha. It's a bream, not a roach at all. Look at that. This. Yes. I'm telling you, in this kind of weather, only big fish bite. It was just sitting there, and then it took off with the drag. I barely managed to reel it in. I almost started to be afraid of the quiet. Half of my head. Here it is. What a beauty. Wow. It fell. We talked a bit about the trash on the shore, yeah, at the beginning of the fishing. And now, guys, let's talk about the problem of smokers. Actually, it's very simple. Look, where I sit, I smoke, and I throw all my butts into the water. You can see the exact same picture with smokers during winter fishing, when someone sits by the hole, smokes, and leaves a mountain of butts behind. Then they come back here the next year, swim in this water, and end up with all sorts of rashes and nastiness on their skin. Then he comes back here. Next year he swims in this water and all sorts of rashes and nastiness appear on his skin. And then we start talking about how dirty our water is. Moreover, fish die from just one butt. One cigarette butt. If I'm not mistaken, it's either 10 or whatever, correct me. Cubic meters of water. It's polluting. And how many are already here? Of course, what kind of fishing will there be? And what will be left after all this? Just look at these shores. There are rags everywhere. Some kind of piss-soaked ones, I don't know, are lying around. You can find just about anything here. And the most interesting thing is that many of these people later talk about how to love nature, how well they treat it, and that's it. That's right. A few words about feeders. Guys, look. There are feeders with this kind of shifted center of gravity. Yeah, forward. It's 60 grams, and it will fly like this, cutting through the wind really well. In short, it's convenient to fish. But for some reason, I find that the regular round nets like this work best for me. Just a plain net, without any wings. This is, for example, a net with wings, right? They say that it supposedly takes off better from the bottom. When it lies down, you exhaust it, and it's easier to get out using its wings. I don't know, I always fish with those kinds of feeders. I don't like these wings. One moment when you're fishing, the line can get tangled around those ribs. They never make them perfectly straight. There are all sorts of burrs here. You have to either finish them off with a knife, that's all, or clean them up. Or just, I don't know. I find that good feeders work best for me when they're clear, even, and round. Just look at how much it's been through. You can see from the weights at the bottom that they haven't just worn down. There was sand and shells too. I haven't torn it off. This feeder has been with me for so many years and it's just completely worn out. I don't know when I'll lose it, but I want to keep fishing and fishing. Write in the comments which feeders you like to fish with the most. Maybe the metal ones or the ones with wings. And this feeder is small, 50 grams. I set it up when the bite starts getting good. And I need to put a small amount of bait there in portions at the spot. Or when there's small fish, when it's still warm outside, small fish like bleak are swirling in the upper layers. And the feeder is big, even heavy. It takes a long time to sink because of its volume. So I need to get to the bottom quickly to get through the entire water column so that the small fish don't annoy me with their bites. And this little 50-gram net with a big weight works perfectly. And it flies, by the way, amazingly. It cuts through the wind. It's just super... It seems like everything is simple, right? But there are nuances with the feeders. But you can figure each one out. This one doesn't have a swivel, and this one doesn't either. These ones have a swivel, for example. It's all a matter of personal preference. The length of the leader is the same today. Ever since I started fishing at 1/2 meter, that's how I keep going. The bite, to put it mildly, isn't great. So I don't want to experiment. Quiet. Okay. Something looks flat, guys. Oh, look. There he is. Nice one. This time a bream took it. So here we have another bream. What a nice little guy. Carefully. Bringing it in. Zakomish, and so we take care of it, keep it taut so that it is flat. The show hasn't been too rough, and now it's going to be ours. Right here, here. Come on, both of us. We got it. There's a little one, the hook, flew out. It just flew out. We're going to get you out now. Wait. Our friends. Oops. Everything is just right. What a beauty. Nice bream. Nice. What a beautiful fish. I love them. Let's go to the roach over there. I went to the keep net. Well then, seems like a simple, quick fishing trip, right? Started in the afternoon, finished in the evening. When it's light, we weren't out until late evening. And it seems like we have some fish, right? And we had a blast. Guys, you can still travel in the fall, but you need to follow some rules. And the most important thing is luck. If you have it and it's with you that day, then everything will definitely go well. Alright, I'm going to get ready. Peace to all, goodness to all. May you always have a good catch. Alright friends, see you soon.